If we want to picture the true self as the sun, the actual I within you, the eternal, timeless me within you, the self-illuminated, independent I, then there's different layers or layers of clothing around the sun, which is your I, that we have been deceived by, we have identified with. How often do you abide in your joyful freedom while you're interacting with this upset neighbor or while you're bumping into a smelly stranger in the grocery store? So you might know it intellectually, but bring it into your awareness. See through the illusion of the mind. See that it does not contain you. De-conflate yourself from your not self. All right, welcome to the session. I want to give you some extra power and clarity within your own psyche, within your own consciousness, to help you empower all your meditations and, in a sense, be less deluded throughout them. Because even meditation can be an act of active deluding of ourselves, active clouding of reality, of the true self. So for those of you familiar with my work for some time already, you will know about the concept of the four bodies. This is not by any means my work in terms of being the originator of it, but I am a commenter of it, and I have adopted this understanding, this distinction of our four bodies, because in my study and searching and meditating and so on, I found this particular way of describing it or way of categorizing being particularly useful, practical, pragmatic, and directly accessible for people, so that you can take your consciousness to the subtler levels of yourself and see through the different primary sort of categories of illusion of the mind, roughly put. And so quickly, without it being a super elaborate system, there's some complexity to it, but it's a fairly simple system to allow you to sort of, like steps on a ladder, move yourself up into greater clarity and less delusion, less confusion. So this session is going to be a guided meditation, but it's also going to be a guided contemplation. So what I mean by that is that I will encourage you to get into sort of a meditative state, relax yourself and so on, but I'm not going to keep it completely zen and quiet. I will also throughout kind of highlight some things, explain a few, little details. So it'll be a combination of some intellectual engagement and then mapping that to or connecting that to your real life experience in the guided meditation. So it will have some silence, it will have some sort of peaceful guided pointers that you can then apply for about a minute of silence or so in between my words. And sometimes I'll pick up the pace a little bit and I'll just go into an explanation of something, or give you sort of a visual of what we're talking about. So just keep your meditative calm. If you want, you can close your eyes during most of the session, whatever works for you. But don't kick yourself out of meditation just because I speak a little faster and I'm explaining something that's a little bit more intellectual or cerebral. So let's call this a guided contemplation with meditative components to it. So we shall begin. Take a deep breath. And relax. Take another deep breath. And relax. Take one more deliberate deep breath, deeper than before, and hold it at the top for about 8 seconds. and relax. As I often recommend, let's start our meditation, or every moment of our lives for that matter, with the mantra, there's nothing that I want from anything or anyone. We do this to calm down the main engine of distracted thinking, which is being under the spell of believing or assuming that there's something that you need right now, which is not true. So again, we say to ourselves, I don't want anything from anyone or anything. And feel the relaxation of that. Feel how it brings you back to present, to the here and now. Natural, undistracted consciousness. All right, take one more deep breath and release any desires and wants that have been in your system today. Just give them back to God. Give them away. For right now, I don't want anything from anything. Rejoice in the peace that remains. Your body is relaxing and aligning themselves. And now we're going to move our awareness to the first body. It's not really the first in terms of hierarchy. If anything, it's the last. It's what you finally incarnated into with your other bodies. But our starting point is what most are most familiar with, which is the physical level. So we'll call that the first. So be aware of your physical body, its sensations of whatever chair or sofa or floor it's sitting on. You can even sort of slightly open your eyes and gaze at it with your physical, optical sense organ. Just look at your legs a little bit, at your hands in the rested position. And get a sense, combine it with the sensations that you feel of your hands on your knee, for instance, or your legs touching the side of the couch. And just observe for a moment the physicality, or at least the seeming physicality, because we know everything is an illusion ultimately, but highlight the seeming physicality of your physical body, its form, its outline, its texture, its different shades. And notice the physical sensations that you're feeling. And while you do that, please notice that you are witnessing it. You're not being this body, you are looking at this body from within, from some dimension of being, which we'll get to a little bit later on in this guided contemplation. But for now, all you need to acknowledge is that while you observe the physical body, you are also noticing that you're witnessing it. You're looking at it. You're investigating it. Okay. So again, bring your awareness to your physical body as if it's a movie, like a holographic, very compelling, convincing virtual reality movie that you're watching. And now the question that we're intuitively going to ask ourselves is, where in this physical body can I find I, me, I am? So just scan this holographic, physicalized body as if you're quite literally scanning it like an MRI scanner. You're just scanning the body with your awareness, the physical level of your body. The chemicals, the blood, the muscle, the skin, the form, the shape, the density, and all that. While you're asking yourself, where in all of this am I? So in a relaxed way, you actively look for yourself in this physical body that you're observing. You can start in your toenail, for instance. Scan your toenail, one of them, or all of them, and ask yourself, am I in there? Can I find myself in my toenail? Is that me? Now, I hope that it's pretty clear to most of you that that's not you, but you never know. Some delusions run deep. But then move on to your feet, to your ankles, perhaps. Scan it. Scan the physical body, scan the blood flow, scan the nervous system. This intricate, complex illusion of energies that all come together in this tactile sensation of your feet and your ankles. And go look for yourself in your feet and ankles. Scan them and ask yourself, am I in here? You will pretty clearly see that you are not in your ankles. Revelation of a lifetime. Now, simply move up a little bit further, like scan the legs, maybe as a whole. We can speed this up a little bit. And just scan your entire lower half of your body, from your pelvis down to your feet and your toenails. And ask yourself, and picture them walking, picture them doing what they do, picture them squatting, picture how much you use them during the day. Lovely, they're reliable for the most part. But ask yourself, where in all this, where in all these legs am I? Can I find I am? Can I find my actual innermost sense of me inside of my legs or the lower half of my body? Now we're going to get a little bit awkward, but I do want to mention the genitals because people do tend to subconsciously identify with it or be confused about it. So move your attention to your genitals and ask yourself, is this me? Is any of these processes me that are involved in the genitals? And for the women, you can include anything associated with that, for instance, menstruation, the cycle and all the ways in which that affects your physical life cyclically, or at least has, depending on your age perhaps. But it subconsciously tends to define you a little bit. It tends to give shape to your character. And same for the guys, the testicles, the semen production, and so on. And ask yourself as you scan this area and its functions, which are relatively defining from a physiological, evolutionary standpoint, but ask yourself where in this process, where in this physical, intelligent but nevertheless physical mechanism am I? Can I find myself in my genitals and in my reproductive organs and systems? And you will see with clarity, with your observational power, as you're scanning this and other areas, that you are not there, and that that thing, defining as it may be on a relative level, does not actually define you. It does not capture or contain you. Okay, let's move on to the heart, which is something a lot of people tend to identify with, at least conceptually. When someone asks you, who are you? And you point to yourself, you usually point to your heart. This is me. When you read spiritual books about the heart chakra, or some of the Eastern traditions, a la Ramana Maharshi, it's about awakening in the heart. So we have this concept that the self somehow is in the heart, that I is somehow inside of the heart. So observe the heart, scan the heart, the physical heart, and see if you can find yourself there. Actually look like as if your consciousness becomes a microscope hybridized with a scanner, an X-ray. So you're X-raying your heart with your consciousness, and at the same time you can zoom in to subatomic levels and zoom back out to the heart as a whole and try to find yourself in one of those heart molecules. Where is I? If I point to this heart when someone asks me, who am I? And I say, this is me, what am I pointing to? Is it this molecule? Or was it the subatomic particle just to the left of that molecule? Was it the membrane? Was it the blood itself that was pumping through? Where is I in any of this? Can I find me in my heart? Now, you can have a beautiful spiritual sensation that then feels like it's happening in the heart, and that's all fine. But are you contained by or in or as the heart? And you will see that this is not the case. And so you free yourself even from your heart, which is great for a lot of us because heartbreak is a common part of our reality. So even as the heart breaks, so to speak, or even physically, because there is this thing called the heartbreak syndrome, I think, a broken heart syndrome, as a physicalized reflection of repeated self-generated heartbreak. Let's be clear on that. Nobody ever broke your heart. You did that all by yourself. Sweet as it is in some ways. But so tend to this tender heart, this loving heart, this perhaps broken heart, this stepped on heart, and see if that defines you. Are you stepped on? Are you broken? Are you betrayed? Are you abandoned? Are you not loved? Just because your heart feels that way from time to time. Are you your broken heart? Can you find me inside the broken heart? Or is the broken heart another sensation, another imagination on the screen of this movie of your physical life that you are observing? And therefore you are beyond it. You're not in it. You're not in your heart. Your heart is appearing as an imagination, as a perception in the space that is you. Beautiful. Now let's move on to the brain, another common center of identification when it comes to the physical body. As we walk around, we are often very identified with our optical apparatus or the sense organ of seeing, sight. We walk around and we orient ourselves, for the most part, based on this sight. It seemingly tells us where we are in relationship to the world around us, how close we are to that door. We look up to look up the sky. The sky is not up. The sky is. We look up at it only with the imagination of our physical sense of sight. Within this video game, within this holographic illusion, we use the optics to consider our location in relationship to the rest of our imagination, such as the sky and the sun and the stars and the earth. So for most of us, this sense organ of sight has conditioned us to feel as if I am in the brain. Because that's kind of where the eyes come together. That's where the input comes together. And that's where we most immediately seem to move to when we move, for instance, our head. When we look in a different direction, it seems to be coming from our heads, from our brains. And then we have all this fancy science to further back up that all of it is coming together in the brain and all that stuff. So we have developed this concept of assuming that I am equals the brain or some location in the brain. So now I want you to scan the brain, and you can use the eyes as well. See how the eyes connect to the brain. Picture the eyes as the cameras that receive the light from the rest of your imagination, aka the outside world, which is still within you. But the illusion is that you're receiving the light through these sort of camera-like eyeballs, and that light is hitting some area of the brain ultimately, or it's being processed right there. So see the eyes, the input of the light sort of going into the brain, and scan this brain and scan the center of your brain, perhaps. Because the spiritual people maybe believe that they live inside of their pineal gland, which is equally illusory, I must admit. And scan the pineal gland, or scan the brain, scan the head. And be aware of the sensation that you usually have on a day-to-day basis as you go grocery store shopping, driving your car around town, going for a walk, talking to other people, the sensation that you automatically have of being somehow kind of located in or around the head area. Try to become aware of that assumption, which has become a sensation. Because everything we assume as a concept, the concept of I am around my head, turns into the feeling, the psychic sensation of I am around my head or in my head. So just notice that conditioned psychic sensation that you are somehow your brain or in your brain or in your head or around your head. Identify that lifelong sensation. And because it's been a lifelong conditioned psychic sensation, it might be a little tricky to catch it. You might not even really know where to look or how to identify it. So you got to try a little bit. You've always had this background sensation, at least most of us do, of being in or around the head. So see if you can catch it, because it's been with you all this time, it's hard to catch. So see if you can catch it nonetheless. The sense that I am over here, located somewhere in or around my brain. And then ask yourself the question, if I am here observing this, then am I in any particles of this picture of the brain? Can I find I in the brain, in my head? Can I truly find I am in my head? And you just kind of blast your brain with light. You perforate it, you penetrate it, you see through this sensation that you are in your head. You see through the entirety of the head, the skull, all the molecules, all the particles, all these special areas that flare up when you think, when you feel fear, when you feel this, when you feel that, when you open your pineal gland, all this nonsense. Intelligent, but nonsense. All this intelligent nonsense, all this illusion, penetrate it with the light of your observer and declare to yourself, see clearly that I am as I am, and the brain is an appearance to me. I cannot be found inside my brain. See this. Beautiful. So we have completed the first step of extracting, rescuing our sense of I am from the physical body. On a day-to-day basis, for the most part, we assume we are the physical body. We don't look at it directly. We don't cut through it. We don't see through it. And so we interact with other people and so forth, other bodies, with this psychic sensation that we are this body. You know? That we are located here, and my partner is located there, and I'm looking at him, and he's looking at me. What is me? What me is he looking at? When he is looking at my body, does he see me? Do I even see me in that ordinary daily moment of my partner looking at me as my body? Or do I just assume that, hey, my partner, who is over there inside of that body, is looking at me inside of this body? That's our day-to-day normal state. That's our matrix state of consciousness. But again, when we look at the body directly, in this case, the physical body, and we're about to move on to the subtle body, but just to complete this stage, this step on the ladder, when normally you feel like you are your body, if you take your awareness and you light up this body directly, you scan it with the question in your heart, am I this? Where in all of this am I? Until you see in your own direct experience, till you glimpse, until you intuitively get it, that the I, which hears my voice and sees your body, is not locatable inside of the body, is not identifiable with any particular fat molecule or menstrual cycle. It's not identifiable with any aspect of your body. And if you doubt it, just go scan that particular body part that you're so interested in. And you will see that I is not there. So in this way, like removing the sticker piece of paper from the background piece of paper, you know, when you buy stickers for your children, you remove this transparent sort of layer from the, or the colored in layer perhaps, from the background layer. So in the same way, we are deconflating ourself, our I, through this practice. We are extracting ourselves, we are rescuing ourselves from the conflated identity with the physical layer of our imagination. Beautiful. So now you are clearer than you were before that I is not the physical body, and it's not even in the physical body. If anything, we could say the physical body appears inside of I, because you are the knower of the body as a perception. The body, which is nothing but a perception, is not aware of your I. So you're the boss, you're the observer, and the body is a perception. It's the, for lack of a better word, it's the slave, or it's the end result, it's the victim. It does not know you, you know the body. How can the knower exist inside of that which it knows, or be limited to that which it knows? So you see, in this way we extract ourselves from the illusion of the physical body. And now let's proceed after a 1 minute break of silence to the subtle body. So for the next minute, take a deep breath, relax and emphasize your own presence, this observing, scanning quality of your consciousness. And just for this minute, appreciate what you have just recognized. See your body as a whole, your physical body, with that sort of elevated sense of joy and potential of seeing clearly that you are not the physical body. So for the next 45 seconds, just rejoice, enjoy in the acknowledgement, in the direct perception that I am not the physical body. Enjoy. Wonderful. Let's take our freedom that much deeper, that much higher. Now there's this subtle thing called the subtle body. It's been called by many names, so it doesn't really matter how you want to call it. Some call it the etheric body, some call it the astral body, some call it the auric body or the aura, some call it the energetic body. I've stuck mostly with the concept of the subtle body, or the naming. Now the subtle body is perhaps most commonly known or referred to simply as the mind. It involves more than that. It involves more than just the thinking mind. But that's the most prominent component of it. Just like most people, when they refer to their physical body, they refer to their outline of their physical body, not so much to the blood and all the processes and all the fats and the proteins and the nervous system. They're just referring to it grossly as what is visible, what is seen and what is felt. Similarly, although the subtle body has way more complexity and intelligence and processes and functions inherent in it, the most visible, the most known component of the subtle body, which is an entrance point for you to recognize it, is the act of thinking, the act of reasoning, the act of imagining, although imagination goes beyond that too. But for most people, what they consider to be their daydreaming, their imagining, but also their dreaming at night, and they're thinking and they're picturing realities, they're fearing the future or looking forward to the future, remembering the past, and so on and so forth. All these acts of thinking and imagining are, for the most part, due to the subtle body. At least the outer expressions of these. Because there is deeper layers or levels of thinking and imagining that have their cause in the causal body, which we'll move on to after this. But for now, picture, if you will, around this physical body that you've just been scanning. Picture an expanded form, an energy form, like you would see on a depiction of an aura around a person's body. So picture your own aura, if you will, but understanding that this aura, extending maybe about 3 feet beyond the skin line of your physical body, all around you, having less of the shape of a humanoid, although it still has some of that shape, but it's starting to look a little bit more like a sphere or like an oval. It's kind of in between an oval spherical shape and the shape of a human body. So it's got a softer, more wavy outline than the physical body. And you can picture it as being more or less made of electromagnetic energies. Or just picture this however you would picture energy, similar to the auroras borealis. However you picture energy, picture this around your physical body. But also, it's not just around, because it's not produced by your physical body, but it's also permeating your physical body, which means it's also inside of your physical body. The physical body is more like a smaller picture that's resting inside of this somewhat larger picture, this larger body of energy. So the energy body comes first, or the subtle body comes first, and then the physical body is a crystallization inside of that. So in a way, you could say the subtle body is bigger than, and also more capable than, and less mortal than, less limited than the physical body. But as an imagination, as a visual, you can picture it like the aura around you, but then also picture it going inside of the body, with the physical body just sort of resting inside of the sphere. Okay, now just understand that this body is where you'll have the different energetic flows happening, the different, forms of chi, prana, and also see that thinking is very active in this body. The vibrations of thought, the electromagnetic pulses of thought are generated from this body, from this level of reality. Because you cannot eat a thought. You cannot put a thought in your pocket physically. But it would be foolish to deny that you have a lot of thoughts every single day and that people think. So where does this exist? And these things can be measured to an extent. Electromagnetically, thoughts have wavelengths and so on. They radiate, they have a radiation of some sort. And this is existent in this subtle level, at this subtle plane. So now, as you picture this body, let's go through it a little bit. Maybe you can even, especially if you're already trained in this, you can observe the subtle energy currents, or you can even manipulate them. You can even stimulate them. You can even emphasize them, like you would be doing in some kind of a qigong or kundalini or prana or kriya yoga type of a form of practice. You can move the energy around. You can develop a circuitry like the microcosmic orbit in Taoism. There's many forms like that. So you can observe those different flows of energy. You don't have to know what they are. You don't have to be precise with this. The point here is that you observe the fact that this energy flows. There's energetic flows. There's electromagnetic currents and wavelengths that are forming the structure of this body and that are part of its functioning. So now as you picture this body, or if it's easier for you, you can simply picture your mind, however you want to picture that. Because we're usually most identified with that aspect of the subtle body that we call the mind, the thinker. So observe this energy body, and in particular, scan your thoughts, your thinking faculty, your thinking function. Just as you think right now, as thoughts arise, just observe their sort of electromagnetic presence within this larger field of your subtle body. And ask yourself, as you scan one or more of those thoughts, or as you're scanning those subtler energetic sensations or presences within yourself, ask yourself, where in all of this display of energy and electromagnetism and polarity and thought forms and wavelengths and radiation, where in all of this is the I, is the me? Am I inside of this thought? Can I find myself inside of this thought? Or if you're familiar with the chakras or some other energy modality, observe something of a subtle energetic nature that you can observe, that you've practiced before maybe, like your heart chakra, or the upwards flow of that Kundalini energy, or the downwards cosmic flow of surrendering to God and letting God come into your body. Or just as you take a deep breath and you hold it for a few seconds, feeling the circulation of that subtle energy through your nervous system and beyond. It's affecting the physical body. You can sense it with the physical body, but its place of origin is in the subtle body. So observe an energy flow like that. If you've never done this before, just picture sort of a circle of energy, a belt of energy going around your body, up along the back of the spine, up towards your crown, like this beautiful scintillating blue electromagnetic stream of soothing light that streams upwards along the back of your spine, reaches your crown, and comes back down along the front of your face and body, back to the root or the perineum of the nervous system. Now again, no, this is not physical ultimately. This is existing at a subtler level, but it does interact with your physical body. It does sustain and affect your physical body. This is why disease, it's not such a mystery that disease in the physical body is regulated by or is produced by distortions, for the most part, in the subtle body. Energetic blockages or non-flowing energies or suboptimal energetic configurations within the subtle body. So find one of those streams that you can kind of feel and sense and picture, and ask yourself, where in this display of energy and subtle sensation am I? Can I find myself in this? It might even feel beautiful. You know, when you go to a spiritual practitioner who's done this for a while, they can generate beautiful states of bliss and produce this sense of energetic nectar that fills their body and the light of God coming into them and all these beautiful stories. And that's all fine. And it serves a purpose, but people get deluded by it. People get confused by it. They're identified with it. The purpose of true enlightenment, my friends, which is what I'm teaching you here, make no mistake, this is the direct path, is to awaken from the dream, including the dream of beautiful, spiritual, light-filled sensations in the subtle body. I don't want you to get stuck at that level because it's never going to give you the freedom that you want. It's never going to give you source awareness.
Massaro University is a vibrant online community dedicated to accelerating your awakening and activating your purpose for the benefit of all. Join live sessions with Bentinho and workshops led by experienced facilitators. Deepen your wisdom, empowerment, and self-knowledge, and experience life-changing shifts week after week. At Massaro University, finding like-hearted seekers is easy and inevitable. Lifelong friendships and a shared purpose fuel profound personal and collective growth. Create your free account today at massaro.university and step into a community that's designed to elevate every aspect of your life.
So, see through the illusion of beautiful bliss states. And this will help you greatly also in your relationships to food, in your relationships to other substances, in your relationship to your partner, in your relationship to sex and sexual energy. It will purify all these relationships because you can see that you are not contained by any of these energies. You're not defined by any of these energies. You cannot be found in any of these energies. So then you can stop seeking for this beautiful, orgasmic, tantric, perfect sexual encounter, for instance. You don't have to worry about that. It's not that great. Been there, done that. It's not that awesome. Because it's not timeless, and it's not immortal, and it's not the truth. It's fine if it arises, and it is more pleasurable than being punched in the physical face. But that doesn't make it any more real than being punched in the physical face. So yes, these preferences are there. There is this thing called pleasure. There is this thing called pain. This applies at a subtle energetic level as well. There is distortions that feel negative and painful, the emotions being a result of these, the negative emotions. And there's blissful states and ecstatic states of energy. But none of these contain you. That's the main purpose of this exercise. See that you are not in the bliss sensation of the subtle body. You're not in that beautiful, divine, energetic current. That is an experience which is occurring to you. You are not in your thoughts, therefore you are not your thoughts. Therefore your thoughts do not limit or block you in any way, shape, or form. Thoughts might block other thoughts. Energies might oppose other energies. But neither thoughts nor energies define or affect you. So in this way, we extract ourselves from the subtle body. We disidentify with it. We don't make it wrong. We let it be there, but we see with great clarity that I am not my mind and I am not the subtle spiritual energies. All right, take a deep breath. Relax, and for about a minute, enjoy the knowingness that you are not even your mind, that you are not even your chakras, that you are not even your spiritual energies, that you are even greater than ecstasy, and you are greater than pain and emotion. Just enjoy that you are not your subtle body. What wonderful news. I am not my emotions, and I am not my mind. We've heard this before. It's cliche. You've seen this in your local spiritual yoga magazine 100 times by now. But how often do you clearly remember this as you're walking towards your grocery store, as you're talking to this upset neighbor? How clearly do you see that I am not in any of this display of energies? I'm not in any of this display of thought forms? How often do you abide in your joyful freedom while you're interacting with this upset neighbor or while you're bumping into a smelly stranger in the grocery store? So you might know it intellectually, but bring it into your awareness. See through the illusion of the mind. See that it does not contain you. De-conflate yourself from your not self, which is anything that can appear to you. And so these bodies are like layers of an onion, or they are like the matryoshka dolls that have a doll inside the doll and a doll inside the doll that's inside the doll, and so on and so forth. These different layers. The bodies act like layers around the true self. If we want to picture the true self as the sun, again, this is symbolic, although there's some metaphysical accuracy to this, but mostly it is symbolic. But if we picture your true self, the actual I within you, the actual me within you, the eternal, timeless me within you, the self-illuminated, independent I that exists independent, timelessly, independent from everything, every appearance, then there's different layers or layers of clothing around the sun, which is your I, that we have been deceived by, we have identified with. Right? So there's the underlayer, and then there's the layer on top of that, and then there's the outer suit or the jacket, and so on. So the physical body being the outermost layer, the grossest layer. The subtle body being, well, subtler, and therefore more deceiving or more tricky to catch. It's more difficult to realize that you're not this underlayer than it is to see that you are not the jacket you're wearing, because the jacket you take off many times during the day. You put it back on, you go outside, you go inside, you take it off. But this underlayer you wear all day long. For instance, your underwear you wear all day long. Similarly, You might sometimes see that you're not the physical body, but it's trickier, it's subtler to see that you're not the subtle body. You have to see deeper, cut through more layers of this onion, right? So we've done that. Obviously, I recommend you practice this on your own to see through the bodies and disidentify from them so that you can see your true self clearly at the end of this process and free yourself. But now let's move on to the third body. This has classically been termed the causal body. It also goes by the name of the bliss body or Anandamaya Kosha. It's also been called the body of ignorance or forgetfulness or not knowing. And there's a reason for that. Because this next level of the body, again, if we picture it first within our imagination, so now we have our physical body, the outline of the physical body. Then we have this sort of auric electromagnetic torus-like wave field around and within, permeating the physical body that's more expanded. Let's say about 3 feet outside of the skin line. This can be bigger or smaller depending on what's happening. But roughly, let's picture it in that way. Now beyond that, for about 10 to 12 feet, beyond even that, let's picture, although this one is hard to measure in such terms, so this is purely symbolic at this point, but let's picture something that is much closer to an actual sphere around you. So this causal body doesn't have the shape of a human anymore. It doesn't have any outline of shoulders and hips and all that. It is like a sphere. For most intents and purposes, you could call this your soul, your individual storehouse of impression, the storehouse of your thought forms over many, many a lifetime. This is where your individuation, in a sense, evolves. If anything, this is the seat of your individual self. Okay, you go beyond that too, as we'll see. But what sort of defines you as an individual mind or soul, as opposed to some other being's individuality, can ultimately be traced back to this closet-like storehouse of seat form thoughts and beliefs and perspectives and points of view and balances and imbalances. It's even subtler than those subtle energetic flows that we tapped into in the subtle body. It's even more empty than that. It's even less tangible than that. So this sphere is, in a sense, like your soul, or at least like the expression of your particular soul. And also it contains the lessons you still need to learn and the lessons you've already learned and so on and so forth. Now, again, it's difficult to notice this body because it doesn't have any shape. It doesn't present itself as an energy running down your spine. You cannot see it like you can see a thought. It's subtler than thoughts. But that is a good entrance point to become aware of the causal body. And to the meditator within you, this is really a beautiful thing to be able to see and grok everything I'm about to guide you through, because it can really help you accelerate your meditation. In the right direction of awakening, that is. So for now, picture the causal body kind of like a void space. You can picture stars in there if you feel a little lonely in the void. That's fine. But see it almost like a portion of space in the form of a sphere. So if you have this sort of space body around your subtle mental body. And this space is so subtle that if the physical body can be equated to the level of chemicals, and the subtle body may be equated to the level of electromagnetism, and then the causal body would have to be equated to the quantum level. If you alter something at the quantum level, it will show up, at least in one reality, in the electromagnetic spectrum, and then consequently in the chemical makeup of whatever seems to materialize as a particle. So your causal body is actually like a quantum computer. It holds great power. But why has it been termed the body of ignorance as well as the body of bliss? And interestingly enough, what we often say in the West, ignorance is bliss. So how come this is the body of forgetfulness, or this is the body of obliviousness? If your waking state is the physical consciousness, and your dream state is your subtle consciousness, then your deep sleep state equates to the causal body consciousness. So when the physical world, the physical mind, the physical senses shut their eyes, so to speak, and you go into the dream state, you activate almost exclusively your subtle body without the aspect of your physical body. When you're dreaming at night and you're unaware of your physical body, you are almost exclusively conscious of your subtle body. This is the dream world, as we call it. But what if the dream world begins to fade? What if these fancy, beautiful energies and these weird jumping timelines and these thought forms that produce forms, and what if all that stops or rests or disappears? What is left immediately upon the cessation of all thoughts? When you stop imagining things, when you stop thinking, what is your most immediate change in perception? Where does it go? Is it not kind of like a vast blankness, like a deep black space, like an empty container, like a peaceful dark room of obliviousness, of ignorance, where nothing happens, seemingly, where you forget the world, you forget your egoic thinking mind, you forget your concerns and your dreams and your imaginations, and it's like a deep sleep state. It's like a peaceful room or sphere that is like space, but initially it's without any lights. And this has often been mistaken for enlightenment or the absolute or real emptiness. But it's not, it's just a body. It's a body that we haven't fully activated and probably never will in this lifetime, because it would cause some serious havoc within this matrix. You would be moving mountains and you would be flying and teleporting instead of taking the bus. And as long as the collective agreement is not ready for that, that would not be of service in most instances. That's how powerful this quantum computer is when it is activated. But again, there are certain veils and instructions in place that won't allow you to fully activate this, which is fine. But you can nevertheless explore it as a domain. However, because of this veil and because of a lack of practice, the causal body, which again you can picture like this space-like sphere extending about 12 feet around your physical body, or however big you want to picture it, doesn't matter. And it's, again, it's like the background of a starry space. It's almost like as if you were to put this background on your Zoom screen behind your physical body of just pure space with maybe a few stars in it behind your body. That's kind of what it looks like or feels like right now. It is around your physical body. You're inside of the space of the causal body. You are not, but your physical and subtle bodies are. So at this level, we're talking quantum, we're talking subatomic, we're talking the mysterious, the magical, the causative. It's called the causal body because it's where the seeds live for the thoughts that you experience with your subtle body. So every thought, every belief has a seed, has a, you could say, quantum component of information to it. that is invisible to the senses. It's even invisible to the mind. That's why, because we're so used to looking with the physical body and looking with the mental body or subtle body, that when we first stop all thoughts of the subtle body, when we have a moment of nothingness, you could say, where the world disappears from our view, the most immediate next level or body that we drop into automatically is the causal body. And because we're not used to seeing with causal body eyes, and because there are certain veils in place to prevent that from being fully activated, it feels to us like a deep sleep state, even if you're awake. And this is the core practice behind Yoga Nidra, as it was originally taught, not the bastardized version in the West. Yoga Nidra officially, originally means to maintain awareness, which is the fourth body, which we'll get to, while your consciousness is active in the causal body of nothingness or deep sleep. So this space-like body is difficult to describe functions to it, but its function is causative, meaning it causes, it's that level where the ripples of your mind and body, physical body, are caused. This is where they're generated. If your physical mind is the conscious mind, and your subtle mind is your subconscious mind, then the causal mind is the unconscious mind, or what we in our civilization have termed the unconscious mind. Again, we have a pattern here: unconsciousness, ignorance, forgetfulness, deep sleep, obliviousness. It all indicates that it's something that we are not very aware of, we're not very conscious of. So when in meditation, you finally have a beautiful moment where the mind kind of stops, the first thing that you automatically land into then is the causal body. Automatically, you have to. If you give up the physical body, what remains is your mind, your subtle body, the dreaming. When you stop the dreaming and the subtle mind, immediately what then remains as part of your perception is the causal body, which again you can sense, you can grok as this deeper, vaster space that feels like nothing, or a spacious blank, or the peace of the absence of things. Now again, you can see why this has often been mistaken for enlightenment, because it sounds a lot like when the scriptures talk of emptiness or of being beyond the mind. But this is still a form of mind. It's the causal mind. And it can be deceiving because it's difficult to turn the lights up here, because what you would find if you did turn the lights up is too exotic to bear. It's too far from your familiar Beth story for you to comprehend, and it would most likely mess with your sense of self in this life, and it would distract potentially, unless you know exactly how to manage that in a balanced fashion. But again, this is why these safety mechanisms, these veils, these agreements are in place, so that even when you do go to the level of the causal body, which everyone can do, it's simply a matter of stopping all imagination and resting in the peace of no thingness that remains. So we can access that level sincerely. However, we're not able to fully turn the lights on in this darkened room. It's gonna stay a little dim in there, no matter how hard you try. Most likely, there might be exceptions, but for most people, this is the case. But at least know that the truth is that this is not a blank space. This is not a space of nothing. This is a space of everything you've ever experienced, and the probability of everything you probably will experience is stored here in sort of a quantum type of information, even subtler than electromagnetism. So this space of the causal body is absolutely drenched with information and potential. It's more powerful than all the other bodies. It's more alive, it's more active, it's more awake than any of the other bodies. But while you're incarnate, you're most likely not going to tap fully into that potential, and for good reason. But that's okay. You can nevertheless use the muted version, use the dimmed version of the causal body. And it has its perks, the fact that it is dimmed. Because it is dimmed, therefore you will be less distracted by it. Because again, if the lights were turned up, it'd be so exotic. You'd be aware of all your parallel lifetimes happening here right now. And you already care enough about your own wife as it is in this life, let alone suddenly having 100,000 other wives that are just as actively remembered for you as this wife. Your physical subtle body in this particular incarnational stream would pretty much explode with concern and responsibility, and it would just explode. It's too much data. You cannot squeeze a quantum computer into, a MacBook yet. So that's okay, but you can recognize the existence of this quantum level causal body. And that's all you need. And the beauty of the fact that it is dimmed, muted, or veiled is that you can therefore use it as a trampoline because you can access it, but because it's muted, it will not distract you as much. It can still deceive you because it will feel like nothing. And nothing often has been described as enlightenment, but it is not, as we'll see in the next step. So use this kind of like a space-like trampoline for transcending even this body. So what I want you to do to sort of procedurally go through this process with the causal body, as we have already done the steps in the physical and the subtle level, is picture yourself walking into a room. It could be a cellar, it could be a basement, it could even be a huge living room, doesn't really matter. But picture that it's completely dark outside or there's no window. And you walk into a room with your physical body. It's okay, you can picture it that way. And now, but imagine that in this room, all the lights are turned off. It's pitch black. You can't see anything. But see how that feels. Really imagine you walking into a pitch black, spacious, comfortable, peaceful. There's nothing grimy or ominous or dark about it, but let's say it's the most peaceful, beautiful Zen meditation space ever, except you can't see anything. It's completely dark. Feel that for a minute. Like conjure up that imagination of taking your physical body and your mind, obviously, into this beautiful, pristine feng shui, sacred geometry, Zen space, but all the lights are off. You're completely in pitch black dark. That's all you feel and see. Sit in that for about 30 seconds. Really feel that. Feel the bliss of this peace of nothing. Where there's no world to worry about because there's nothing there to see. So you have full permission to completely relax in your own presence in this nothingness. You don't know where the walls are. It seems to extend forever. You could reach out your arm into this pitch black darkness. You don't know where is the beginning, where is the end. It doesn't matter. Get that peaceful feeling of nothingness all around you. So then we have in this picture, in this equation, we have your physical body that walked into this room. We have your mental body or subtle body, which is able to do all the sensing and processing and observing, so to speak. And then both of these bodies are now inside of a larger body, which is, in this case, the dark room. So feel that dark room and understand that this is kind of like your causal body, which surrounds your mental body and your physical body. So get a sense for this causal body, peaceful ignorance, this blissful ignorance, this blissful dark space. Not dark, dark, but just like there's no light. It's peacefully nothing. Feel this all around your physical and mental body right now. And then imagine, okay, that is me tapping in to my causal body. That's where the threshold of my thoughts end. The thoughts as I know them, at least. I can think in this dark space. I can send out ripples of thought with my subtle body. And I can tap my physical body inside of this dark room. So I can interact. I can have my physical body active. I can think inside of this vast black room. But I can also just observe the blackness around my mind and body until my thoughts kind of quiet. And I'm just in awe of the bliss of this peaceful, deep sleep-like space around me. Again, my friends, this is not yet enlightenment, but this is a great step on the way there. The next step I would equate to illumination or enlightenment. So let's take that step. Now, again, stay in this dark room in your imagination. Feel your causal body as this dark, potent space. It's potent, it's filled with potential, except you just don't know anything there. You don't see anything there. But you do feel that this is the quantum computer of the entire universe. This is where everything is caused from. This is within which the physical and subtle holograms are projected. This is the space, this is the movie screen. So again, feel the dark, peaceful room around you, around your physical body and around your mind. Feel that darkness, the beautiful darkness, the absence of things, the peace of nothingness. And now, notice something crucial. There is something within you that's aware of this room. There is something that knows that you're in this peaceful chamber of nothingness. The lights are turned off here, but there is a light that is on, and that's the light of an awareness which is even subtler, which exists before or prior to your experience of the causal body room. You know this dark room. So in fact, the darkness is illuminated already as we speak. The nothingness is seen by what we could sort of call a light. Even darkness is known by the symbolic light of awareness. You do not know this space with your mental body. You can produce thoughts inside of this dark space, or no thoughts inside of this dark space. But the experience of the dark space is itself a perception appearing in an even greater body that is aware. Now, in the darkness itself, in that space-like room itself, you cannot find yourself. You can ask yourself, where in all of this perception of nothingness is me? And you will not find yourself in that space. But when you wake up to the fact that you're aware of the space, when you notice the awareness that's illuminating the black, peaceful void of the causal body, now you have this formless, locationless illumination catching itself. It's like the background awareness notices its own presence in contrast to that black room, that darkened room. You realize, hey, it's by the light of knowingness, it's by the power of me that I know all these three bodies. It's by the light of I am And so this is the body that is commensurate with the God level. So sometimes I call it the God body as well. Now, it's still filtered through your individuation and your causal body, and it's not going to be 100% pure straight away. And that's not necessarily the aim. But it is commensurate with what you're tapping into when you notice the awareness of the dark room, and that it is subtler and greater and vaster and more primordial and more timeless than the dark room, than the causal body. You are effectively awakening from the dreams of the causal, subtle, and physical bodies and realms. You are contacting the everlasting primordial essence of I am. And it's fairly safe to say that this is what you are. Although there's one level beyond even this, where most traditions don't go, and I will not go in depth on that during this session, but I just want you to be aware of it, and I call this the absolute, or the one before oneness, the source of even God, prior to I amness, prior to awareness. There was the one infinite source. The absolute reality. So even awareness, even the I am, although it's safe to say that that is you, as opposed to anything that arises in the causal, subtle, and physical planes, it is nevertheless not yet your absolute nature. Even awareness is a body of sorts. Even the presence of all that is a veil or a layer of expression of the truly indescribable, truly formless, truly timeless, beyond all forms of experiences and experiencing, final and only absolutely real reality. This is ultimately what is I, what is you. Even the sense of I in the great causal body or the God body that we just noticed, even awareness aware of awareness, is a body of sorts that's being aware of itself. It's a universal body. And every other manifestation or seeming manifestation, every other perspective, projection, illusion, form, appearance, experience, dream, hallucination, holographic experience, virtual reality, all of these are predicated upon, are based in the great causal body, the God body, the essential I am energy body, the ultimately universal body, that body of oneness, of wholeness, of all that is. But all that is, or oneness, or God's own presence within you and within all, still has a form to it. It still has a quality, maybe not a form, but it has a quality to it, which is a form of something. The absolute has no quality. And only something without a quality can be infinite and original and the actual source. Infinity is not a quality. It is beyond the imagination of any quality. So there you have it. The four bodies that are resting on top of absolute infinite reality. The closest one to enlightenment being, I am that I am. I am the awareness that knows the dark room, that knows the active mind and the energies, and that knows the physicality and the chemicals and matter, I am that which knows. So throughout your day-to-day life, just emphasize the presence of knowing. Keep emphasizing the presence of awareness and let that cut through these automatic tendencies to identify with whatever is seen by this awareness. Cut through the three bodies with the fourth body. Cut through the three illusory bodies with the primordial body of awareness. In very simple terms, rest as awareness. Observe as awareness. Be as awareness. Identify with awareness, not with any of the other appearances that it perceives. And you don't have to worry about the absolute. That will come on its own naturally at some point. For now, the highest is to rest in that awareness, which knows even the forgetfulness or the ignorance or the blankness or the nothingness of the causal body, which knows even your deep sleep state. It's that which lets you know that you've had a deep, restful sleep when you wake back up to your subtle and physical bodies in the morning. You say to yourself, I had such a deep, good sleep. Well, how do you know? What was there, knowing this also quite formless state of deep sleep, the causal body. You did not stop existing. The existence which is awareness continues because it's not in time. Time appears inside of awareness, so it can never destroy or alter or stop or continue or resume or pause or fast forward awareness. Awareness is the timeless container for even the space-like container of the causal body. But it's known to you very simply as I am aware right now. I know. There's a knowingness, a quality of knowingness. Rest in the quality of I know. Not I know as a person, or I know that I am right. No, not that I know. It's the primordial I know. Just that innermost feeling of I am aware, thus I know. Rest in this. Prioritize this. Use it like your sword to cut through the conflations with the lower bodies. And you will know great peace, you will know great joy, you will know great expansion, freedom, immortality, indestructibility, all these beautiful things that your heart seeks are already you. You just got deceived by the bodies. Now undeceive yourself by resting as awareness in the midst of these perceptions, tempting you to buy into them as if they are you. Become untemptable, so no appearance can make you believe that it is you. Not even deep sleep, not even peaceful nothingness, let alone the thinking mind and the wanting mind and the needing mind and the energies of pleasure and pain and the physical world and the house and the career and the this. Let none of it tempt you into being deceived. Rest as I am aware. The direct experience, the direct recognition of I am. This is self-illumination, and everyone here can do it. You might think you can't, you might get distracted by your laziness, you might be identified here and there with your bodies, or even most of the time. But everyone here can cut through those confusions with the other bodies. Everyone here can take that fourth body of awareness, of I, and separate it, extract it from the other three bodies by seeing clearly that I, awareness, am not contained in any part of the physical, in any perception of the subtle, or in any experience of the causal. I am always here beaming the light of awareness onto nothingness, onto the subtle, and onto the physical. So in this way, you cut through the layers of the onion and you stay with the sun of I am, the sun of self. And you self-illuminate yourself. You don't need a special guru. Just a kit reminding you of what you can do. And then you do it. You self-illuminate. Power is yours. I've reminded you of the steps to very effectively and rapidly cut through your illusory identifications with limitation of the different bodies. Now it's up to you to attain to the light of awareness, which right now hears my voice and sees this screen, or sees your eyelids being closed and sees the next moment and 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 the next moment. To stay with that awareness which sees this moment and 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 this moment. What sees all that? What knows all that? Stay with the knowing of it. Do not be distracted by my voice. Do not be distracted by what you see. Do not be distracted by what you don't see. Notice the undistracted awareness that hears my voice now, as well as now, as well as now, as well as now, as well as now. It is as continuous as timelessness could ever be. You are already timeless and immortal. Just don't identify with the other bullshit. Don't identify with pus, piss, blood, and feces. Don't identify with erratic, chaotic, confused thoughts and desiring. Don't identify with nothingness or sleep. Don't identify with anything. Just stay aware of this timeless continuum of awareness. Self-illumination. By you, for you. All for free. This is so free. Anyone can do it.
Thank you for watching this Bentinho live session. Bentinho now hosts these transformative live sessions completely free, offering profound insights and guidance to support your journey. To attend the next live session with Bentinho, simply visit massaro.university and follow the instructions to create your free account.